Stay connected to Larry Reid Live. Take a moment and like the Facebook page. Subscribe to the YouTube page and hit the bell. Text Larry Reid Live to 33222. That's the words Larry Reid Live with no spaces to 33222 and get notified when we go live. Become a member of the Patreon. Log on to LarryReidLive.com, click Patreon, sign up, download the Patreon app, and turn on your notifications. Get connected today.
This platform discusses any and all information that has been made known to the public in any way. If the information creates convo that needs to be had, then it could become a feature story on the LRL platform. Now, remember, I am not a journalist. I am a commentator. I just talk about what in the world didn't happen in the world, online, whatever. The information that I share here, all of it is alleged. But the commentary, ladies and gentlemen, it is real. Welcome to Larry Reid Live. Let's go. All right, I am here. This is what I need for you to do. First of all, let me say welcome to Larry Reid Live. It's Monday night, and every Monday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, give or take a little piece, I'm going to always be right here unless it's a holiday or something doesn't happen. And then, of course, there are other times during the week I pop up. That's why you need a text right now, Larry Reid Live to 33222. So you get a text whenever I come on the set on the main platform on a Monday night. And I want to say thank you to those of you that are patrons. It's the patrons that make all of what you see. Anytime you see a new video, a new graphic, or a new advert, they make it possible as well for us to continue to do what we do. So hats off to the patrons. Bravo. Thank you so much for supporting 40 cents a day every single month. And you should sign up too, because a whole nother Larry Live show experience over there. You go to LarryReidLive.com and you click Patreon to become a part. Now, because of the sensitivity of this topic, it is very possible that though this platform is monetized, we may not get our monetization because we are commentating on what's happening. And so I have to put in the title what I'm talking about. And the word racism is in there. And of course, I'm going to be saying the coronavirus. And they're doing some things right now to sort of keep everybody calm. But you see, that ain't going well at all. And today's topic is going to be riots and racism and religion and in the divided states of Amerikkka. There's 3 K's in there, K. And so that's what we're going to be talking about on tonight. And we're going to open up our lines. So if you love this show, if you hear something that make you laugh or something that just inform you or great conversation, just play. Those sapiosexuals, you know when somebody just play with your mind and tickle a little bit, make sure you hit that Venmo and you hit that Cash App, or you can go to the site and use anything you got at LarryReidLive.com and click donate. Now it's time to get into the conversation. Let me go ahead and give a disclaimer on top of the disclaimer that I already read. The first disclaimer we're telling y'all, if you online, if it happened in the news, I want to talk about it, or you tell me you want to talk about it, I bring it to the platform and I talk a darn about it. Ain't nobody off limits. It don't matter who you are. If it's discussion worthy, a conversation, a conversation that we can have absolutely, I'll put it on the show. It don't matter what it is. It don't matter who it happened to. Now, in addition to that disclaimer, I want to make this disclaimer. We're going to be discussing sensitive stuff tonight. And we got George Floyd that done been murdered in front of us. We saw his ghost leave his body. We saw him meet his mom who had passed on. And they got a glimpse of her from the other side. He called out to her, "Mama," as if to help me and to save me. Okay, you can't hear me? Am I too low? I'm too low. I'm too low. Is that better? Is that better? All right, that look like it should be better. He yelled out to his mom as if, and probably he didn't know what was happening. Actually, the veil was getting torn. He was slipping over into the next realm and probably got a glimpse of her and called out to her. And we saw him transition from this world into the next world. It was horrendous to see how he passed, as all transition is horrendous. It was terrible. We felt it in every fiber of our being. It went through our soul. We felt it in our bones. And we could not shake it, and we still cannot shake it, and it has us tore up. And as a result, we decided to let the world know our pain as a community, not only as a black and brown community, but even our white allies who saw this injustice caught on camera. I want to drive that home. An injustice caught on camera. There's so many other cases that happened in America that was just like this one, and everybody got off scot-free. But there was no caught on camera component. But this one, thanks be to God. Now, we're not celebrating nobody got killed, but we are celebrating that this was an injustice caught on camera. Cops in America that lack training, the entire police department in every city, namely Minnesota, Minneapolis, needs reform. We have a cop, a former cop now, Derek, who put his knee into the neck way higher, about 6 inches higher than what they are trained to place their knee in between the shoulder blades. If you have an assailant or you have a potential problem, and they don't want you to put no cuffs on them, and they just flopping around like a fish. You put that knee up there, you put the cuffs on. A couple of other cops may at the same time put their knee because it brings a whole lot of pressure to hold you down, to get the cuffs on you. And then at that point, you can move the knee off. For some reason, this man kept his knee on his neck, even when he said he could not breathe, and others were sitting on him. Even after they got up, he stayed on his neck, even with him saying, I cannot breathe. I'm having difficulty to breathe. He kept it there. The other cops stood around. One white cop on the neck, one Latino, one Asian, and then what was the other one? So it's 2 white cops, 1 Latino, 1 Asian. Is that right? Asian. Is that right? Okay, I think that's right. Well, those are all. That's the point. What I'm trying to tell you, that there are people of color. A Latino and an Asian. Those are people of color. Those are brown people. Now we've realized that actually the Asian was his brother-in-law. So they stood around and watched this man commit murder. The coroner, the medical examiner in the county, and I want y'all to pay attention to this. The medical examiner in the county said that he died possibly. Now, this is a preliminary statement that they gave, although it was written, but it wasn't the official. Now, I'm sure now the official is going to change, because what the family did, they kicked out some coin and hired an independent forensic pathologist. And they examined a team of, I'm going to call scientists, examined, and they found out that he died not because of some underlying medical condition like heart disease. I think that's what they were saying. And I'm going to show you the post that I made earlier today, and we're going to talk about that, because really we're going to deal with these posts and your comments concerning this entire case, because I've been posting about it all weekend long. Mechanical or traumatic asphyxia is what killed this man. The first autopsy conducted by the county's medical examiner. See, this is what I want y'all to get in your head now. You got all of these people in the courthouse, the police force, the medical examiner, in a county. All of these people are colleagues and probably been knowing each other and their children and all their friends. They have their own community. They go out to eat together. They're in the same clubs. So a lot of times when we see these cases and it looks as though justice was not served, this is the reason why. In fact, when I read the county's write-up, I'm saying, I've never seen a medical examiner. This is Larry Reid. I've only been doing this since, and I think this is our anniversary month, June 2016, because we first started LarryReidLive. We started on my page with the blue check on Facebook, and then we moved it to LarryReidLive. We created 2017, this Facebook page that we're live on now, and we started streaming on YouTube, I think in the same year, 2017, although it was created a year prior. So happy anniversary month to LarryReidLive. Praise and thank God. Praise and thank God. But in just my few years of having to talk about this kind of stuff, I ain't never seen no medical examiner report that the language was almost like clearing the officers and clearing what the officers had done. That let me know that these people had already got involved in some fishyment was going on, some niggerment, some crazyment was already going on anyway. Number darn one, they talk about he died at the hospital. Now let me say this. You have to have somebody official to declare death. And 9 times out of 10, that is done at the hospital many times. But they really pressed that message in this case in a way I ain't never seen before. They really pressed it in the media that he died at the hospital. And then the medical examiner flopped that right out, talking about he had underlying conditions. Now tell me, how in the whole hell under heaven you're going to know if somebody got heart disease without taking their whole heart up out their chest cavity and looking at the valves? So that was strange to me. So that's their preliminary. Now, they ain't done their official one, but before they can do their official one, we're still waiting on the toxicology report, because they had in there that he probably was on something, which I don't even know how they came with that, and all this is preliminary. Now, the independent, let me read what I said. The first autopsy conducted by the county's medical examiner, they said that the cause of death for George Floyd was not what we thought, but a second independent autopsy by forensic pathologists concluded it was indeed asphyxia. EMTs confirmed he was dead. Listen, he was dead when they retrieved him. The video we saw them pick him up off the ground, you know, when they put you right there in the thing, normally they usually do it right there on the ground, that's another strange piece. They used to come out, don't move him, let's see what's wrong. But I think they probably already knew his pulse was gone, because I think I heard in the video someone checking his pulse and said no pulse in one of those videos I saw. So when they got him in there and they went to work on him, there was no pulse. They gave him the defibrillators, you know, didn't get him back. He never came back. He was dead on arrival. He indeed died at the hands of Derek Chauvin, and we all watched his ghost meet his mom's ghost. We saw it. So that is confirmed. As I said before, there is a key element. When you talk about somebody racist, we're so quick to call somebody racist. And I told you there's a key when it comes to calling somebody racist. It's the spirit of murder, a killer energy. It's confirmed now that this man with the knee on George's neck is indeed a killer. I believe with all of the Larry Reid that is in my being that this man purposed to make him unconscious with an intent to cause life-threatening results. He is a killer. I don't care how you put it. He and all racists are killers. I want us to be clear about that. And black folk, brown folk, and even our white allies, you need to be clear about this. And we need to be clear about this moving forward. And I'm going to keep mentioning our white allies, because all white people ain't the same. And I want us to be clear about that too. I want us to be clear about that so we can stay clear about ourselves. All right. So the official report is what we're waiting on now, because, ladies and gentlemen, that's what stands in court. The official report needs to say asphyxia. They alluded to intoxication. They alluded to underlying health conditions. Now, this is what the independent people said, because they was questioned. Did y'all watch it? They were questioned today, and they asked them, did you see anything that said he had heart disease? And they said they did not give us, I'm putting in my terms, they did not give us all of the parts of him. But the parts that we had of the heart, the valves we checked, there's no indication of any heart disease. In fact, the forensic pathology, I'm going in tongues tonight. Is that God? God, is that you? The forensic pathologist, y'all know I can't have talk, and I'm doing good to say that asphyxia. I'm just very glad I ain't cuss. The forensic pathologist, he made a statement, white man, oh, you know, white folk do not age beautifully. What in the, what? I looked at somebody that I wanted to just, let me put it like this, lay hands on and minister to for many, many years. And I looked at their picture. I said, what in the world? We're the same age. Why you look like you 15 years older than me? Same thing with light-skinned black folk. Light-skinned black folk, some of them they age like our other brothers and sisters. It'd be rough around the eyes and the neck. Unless you can get a nip and a tuck. Anyway, he said, looking at his heart, he said, I wish my heart was in this condition. So he don't look bad at all. But it's the official report that stands in court from the county. So it looks to me Being that the family already done said, we don't like this prosecutor, we ain't listening to what your medical examiner said. The family is already setting up to prove that he was murdered. Because in court, now what they can say to the court and to the judge is, all right, this is what they saying how he died and why he died. But we got this over here. They're saying this right over here. Man, all of the stuff surrounding George Floyd has sparked something off in our nation. And let me say it like this. It's not that it sparked something off primarily. It peeled something back. Many things we have discussed all 2020, me sitting right here and you in the chat watching me. When we were coming into the first of the year, I began to allude last part of February, first part of March about this coronavirus, COVID-19. And I begin to say that I believe it's airborne. I begin to tell you guys to put your mask on. This is before it even got on CNN and they were talking a whole lot, before the talking heads started. It was me, another YouTuber by the name of Lovely T. Somebody told me another one the other day, I forget their name. But there's only a few people here in America in the media that was talking about this and saying it was serious. In fact, there were a whole lot in the media saying it was nothing. Even they had to retract some things that they said, some of the pundits and talking heads on Fox, on CNN, and the president himself had to retract what they said. But I just felt deep down in my spiritualization that something was off. So while we're going through that, at the same time, Bernard Jordan, who I call America's Black Prophet, he started hearing from his partners that he had wrote a book that really alluded to a lot of the things that began to come out. And so he went back into his book, Written Judgments. He started going into that and reading through that and like, oh my God, oh my God. See, this is the book that he wrote when he locked away with Jesus them 4 different times and wrote 4 volumes of prophecies concerning the future. Now, Sylvia Brown, she's a psychic. She did the same thing. Lord John Kuntz, is that it? Koontz. He wrote, done the same thing. I may not be saying his name right. If you see it in the chat, let me correct that. And I put a post, and I put all 3 of them up there. And I said, all right, it look like they're alluding to this. Bill Gates had made a statement. There have been some other people. The guy that was the consultant for the movie Contagion. You seen the movie Contagion? The epidemiologist there, he was the consult for the writer. He was already screaming that this is it. This is the one. We thought it was SARS. We thought it was, what was that one up on Obama? Ebola. But this is the one that we're not going to be able to get hold of because it's respiratory, but they still won't say airborne. But Larry Reid and a few others, I'm sure, was saying airborne. Just 2 weeks ago, the scientists are now using the word airborne. I've been saying airborne, but they said, no, it's droplets in the air. No, well, it's aerosol. Now they're saying airborne. From the pandemic all the way down to George Floyd, one thing after the next, and then with all the stuff we saw in the briefings with the president, it is screaming in our ear that our government and all of the systems in our country need reform, and we don't need to be trusting nobody with our lives except ourselves, each other, and God. Because the powers that be are corrupt, self-serving, and really don't care about me and you on our level. They talk about they care about America. They want to make it great again. They talk about how they want to, take care of the borders. We want to make sure that we have the biggest army. We want to make sure that we have the biggest robust economy. But the reality is, when it comes to the things that affect me and you at the federal level, sometimes even at the state level, they're out of touch. To me, it looks like we need to be focused on the primaries and the voting every 2 years, because at the local level, these are the people that really can affect our life. And it looked like a few of them are the only ones that got good sense. Because everybody else at the federal and at the state level, they own something else. And I don't know what that is that they own. But it's like they're really not paying attention to what is happening in our world. Our president just got up off the TV, out of his lips, and this is what he said. If you do not know, because of what is happening in our world in about 46 cities and about 26 states, the protests that have turned into rioting and vandalism, the president has enacted an old act from 1807. And it's called the Insurrection Act of 1807, which means he is imploring all civil authorities, that's the cops and them, and all military to begin to police the streets and shut down all of these protests. And that's what he said. He said he called them protests. But then on the flip side, he said it was terrorists and domestic terrorism. But ladies and gentlemen, we got a glimpse of it with the pandemic of a martial law. But you can say what you want to say. This here looked just like martial law. And then he said, after we get everything up under control, he said, I am law and order. After we get everything under control, then we're going to help rebuild these communities. Because the reality is you got stuff getting tore up from the floor up. It reminds me of Rodney King. Los Angeles suffered over $1 billion of damage. 60-something folk got killed during that time. Do y'all remember that? Oh my God. 12,000 people were arrested during the times of Rodney King. Right now, just in 7, and this is the thing that's funny about this one, because this thing is going on long. We're in day 7. And these folk at the White House, the military, I don't know if you watched it before I came live, they got right into the face of the protesters. Basically saying, take your whole hand up off of the federal property and get away from around here. Because yesterday the president had to go down into the bunker for about 45 minutes. And now he's been transferred off of the White House grounds altogether. Are we about to have a White House down or the Olympus has fallen type of thing? Have y'all seen those movies? London Has Fallen. All three of them really the same movie. They made over 3 times, and I really enjoyed every last one of them, but they really was the same movie, but I liked it. I said, Lord have mercy, this thing is getting serious. While he's speaking, you got all this stuff going on. Although I must say that I do think a lot of this drama surrounding these real events is forced and created. Let me tell you what I'm saying. So here we are with all these riots. We got the riot. Let's talk about Minnesota. Minnesota, it all began in the state of Minnesota, in the city of Minneapolis. Everything breaks out round about the world. Things get horrible. And then all of these areas, these protests begin, rightfully so, because the man was killed by a racist who is a killer in front of everybody, so it should have happened. But these protests, every last one of the protests started peaceful, with prayer, with people talking, you got the vibes of, it seemed like Maya Angelou showed up at the one in Atlanta. I know, I heard her out there. I rise. I heard her. She was standing out there, but that man was talking, I think I heard her. I rise. I heard her. It felt so Martin Luther King-ish, Black History Month-ish, Selma-ish. It felt like marching in the streets with King and them and our white allies and getting on our knees. Arrest all of us because we're going to make our voice heard. They stopping the traffic like them sit-ins we used to have. And so let me give y'all some ideas about the protest. Let me tell you how to protest. As opposed to the looting and the tearing up everything, which I do understand the anger, and I'm not judging you for it because I do understand that some folk just do not have the language, they do not have the words to say, I am mad, but then they can take something and hit and bust that window and hit and tear something up that says, I'm mad, listen to me. I've seen my children do this, and I'm not calling them children, but I've seen my children do this, struggling to express themselves and acting out. You know, so I know sometimes that happens. And I do know at the same time that some folk can't express themselves, but they are intentional. And I want to tear up white folk establishment. And we've seen that before. We had Farrakhan told us, and Fannie Mae, she told us, Fannie Lou, what is it? I can't remember. Fannie, you know what I'm talking about. You know, they told us, you know, if you don't give us what belongs to us, we gonna tear up your mess since you won't let us have it. You know, so some folk out there purpose to go, you know, to the places where that white people own or white people establishment and tear them up. But then you got them other fools that's tearing up the black folk stuff. I said, what y'all gonna help what happened 100 years ago with Tuskegee, Black Wall Street? Y'all gonna tear, black folk gonna tear up black folk stuff like they did our stuff back then? Because we were thriving, all of us wealthy, smart black folk in one area? Is that what y'all gonna do? I think that's dumb. But I do understand being upset. But ladies and gentlemen, we don't just have the protesters out there using their right to protest. It's your right to protest. Protests are good. I'll tell you a good example. My thought got away from it. I'll tell you a good example. Go sit out there at the white establishments, you know, that they won't let you know how some of them stores are. The ones you go into where they're looking at you like you don't belong in here. They won't even halfway handle you. You go sit in front of them and keep all their customers out. That's what you do with that. You go into those places, you know, where they don't do us right and won't give us no piece of that pie. Sit out there in front of them so the customers come out there and see a whole bunch of black folk and white folk with their signs. I ain't going to there today. I come next week. But when they come next week, we there. That's how you protest. Stand up in the middle of the street. Go to the white neighborhoods, you know, where the affluent are. And stand there at that gate when they're coming into that gated community. I don't know if you can do that. Well, you probably, not some of this stuff you're going to get arrested for, but just do it for the cause of George Floyd. That's what King them did. They got arrested too. You know, but that's how you protest. You stir up stuff. You mess up the economy. You keep it, you know, where people can't live their lives easy. They are faced with what they done did to this black man, knee in his neck. That's what you're supposed to do. But this other stuff that's coming, I want you guys to understand that this rioting, this kind of rioting, there ain't no sense in that. Now let me say this. A lot of you have been saying that the Boston Tea Party is a riot. No, I don't care who wrote and said it was a riot. That's a protest. And there ain't nothing wrong with doing something like that. They took the tea that they were being taxed on. First of all, do you know, I'm going to get to the Boston Tea Party. But for some of the white people that's been posting online, oh my God, I can't believe what they doing. Oh, why they being so... Listen, white folks showed us how to do protests. Y'all actually showed us how to do rioting too. Y'all started this stuff. When it go back to the Native Americans, y'all burnt up, towed down, rummaged through their lands, their spaces and their places. Why? Because you were under the control of the white man over there in Europe, Great Britain. So you was trying to wiggle from up under that thing, so you trying to establish your own over here. You took what the Portuguese taught you and what the Europeans taught you and some of the Africans taught you and went to the West Coast and got you some slaves and came over here and said, now we're going to build this up. Let's snatch this from these folk plumbers and tear down and tear up their mess because you wanted to be free. That's where the Boston Tea Party come in at, because they're still up under that taxation. Say, y'all doing too much. If you ain't going to do us right and give us our part, we going to tear y'all mess up. They took the tea and 342, I think it was. That's what's in my mind, but it might not be right. 342 big old cases. Throwed it to the bottom of the harbor. Said, now y'all know that tea got wet. It wasn't no good no more. That's tearing it up. Nah. That ain't like what y'all doing, because they threw the tea down to the bottom of the what's-a-face. Y'all trying to take the tea to the house. What is y'all doing? Do we got that video of what they're doing? Is that Louis Vuitton store? But show that right there. This y'all, what? Come on. Yeah, you can play it while I'm talking. You ain't got to take the volume off of it. Let me run my mouth. You know I'm good at running my mouth. Bring this up. I want y'all to look. Look at here. Look at there. That's black, blue, brown, young. Oh, a whole lot of young people. Black, blue, brown, all sorts of folk at the Louis Vuitton. I think this is in Portland, Oregon. And they're going into the store. They busted it. I ain't playing it with the sound, but look, you see that glass, the sound is that they're tearing stuff up. That's tearing up. Get out of the way. Get out of the way. How, excuse me, get out of the way. It was just everything going on. Some of them got their mask on. I do want them to know that this is still a pandemic. You still can go out there and catch the COVID and your lungs get tied up and you in your nearest hospital and can't get out. Look at that. Look at all that, them bags. Look at that. White people, black people. Look at that. Look at all them women. Look at that white girl, that pink one. Oh my God. Now hold on. This right here is not what they did at the Boston Tea Party. Y'all taking the tea to the house. You supposed to went in there and cut through the pocketbooks where they can't sell it. They left with a mess. You supposed to go in there. That's what you were supposed to do if that's what you're trying to do. Oh, Lord have mercy, Jesus. And then we got folk, because some of us out there protesting. I was on my way. I was going to get some footage for the LRL, everything. But something in me say, wait just a little piece. This is in Atlanta. And so I waited, and I was eating a little bit, and I kept the TV on watching. Candy, didn't you come in there? We're talking about it, yeah. And I said, I said, I don't know. I'm feeling like this thing going to switch. And so as I'm black, sitting here with this gold chain on the black shirt, looking sexy as ever. You know that's the truth. You know that, right? I'm sitting here with this black shirt and gold chain on, looking sexy. You looking at me right now, you want me. Yeah. Just to show us that's a fact. What I said was a show fact. That thing switched and turned right before my eyes. I said, wait a minute. It went from peaceful to niggerment. I had never seen so many white niggas. I said, what in the world is going on? They turned up everything. You got the protesters and the anarchists. The protesters and possibly the Antifa or the Sorrows. But you definitely got the protesters and the agitators and the instigators who were creating havoc that the black and the browns going to get blamed for. Look at us now. Now the military, for those who just coming in, Trump is enacting the Insurrection Act of 1807, all civil and military. It's coming out on the streets, Everybody got to be in by the curfew. He said he's going to do it if the governors don't use the National Guard, that he is going to get it done with the military. This is the commander-in-chief. He can. I don't care what they say on the news. Well, he's not supposed to. Yes, he can. When it comes to that military, yes, he can. I don't know if he ain't supposed to or not, but I bet you he can. This a whole mess. So he put this in place because you got the instigators, agitators, the Soros, the Antifa. You got the extreme left and the extreme right who really is taking this opportunity to say, F Trump. Tear up everything. Just tear everything up. Because it's like fighting the administration. And then you got the millennials, the X, Ys, and Zs, who don't even care about, ain't really feeling authority, who really ain't even feeling all these laws and these regulations. They're mad about the school stuff. They're mad about, they're not being able to go out, got to wear these masks, all that kind of going on. You got them people out there who mad about that. So you got all of this conglomerate of craziness. He said he didn't think the white supremacist was out there. I heard him when they said that on TV. I don't know why. There's video out there that proved that. They're taking a moment trying to mull over, beat up, and wear down some browns and some blacks. So everybody's out there. I saw these black women, man, they saw these white folk tearing up stuff. Say, y'all, they're going to end up blaming us. Have we got that video? That's it. Okay. Yeah, play it with the sound. All right. Watch this, y'all.
Look. I want you to know this is not.
Don't police people's way of
Let me tell you this.
themselves.
This is not a black woman who's put in Black Lives Matter. I just want you to know that right, but y'all doing that for us, and we ain't asked you to do that. Listen, don't spray stuff on here when they gonna blame black people for this, and black people didn't do it.
There's some black person.
But
We did.
if we wanted you to do it, we would have asked. They not gonna show y'all faces when they see that on their building. They gonna blame that on us. Y'all are part of the problem. News come on, they gonna say we did that. We didn't do that. Stuff like this ain't right. Stuff like this ain't right. That's what the problem is. We out here standing together peacefully, protesting without any problems. You got people of all races spraying on buildings talking about Black Lives Matter. That ain't even us. You got police officers coming to a peaceful protest spraying gas on us. We ain't even did nothing. Don't let the media fool you. When they see the vandalism on these places, know that it wasn't us. And when you see stuff like that, you're supposed to stand up and say something. Don't spray on these people's buildings. That's not our message. That's not helping nothing. And then putting it on us, and then want to argue with us and say somebody black asked you to spray. We don't need nobody to do nothing for us. That's why we out here doing it ourselves.
It ain't nothing like a black woman. It's black women. Even they don't have them in their children. They got that mother in them that will tell you what you ain't got no business doing when it comes to something of this nature. Racism is America's original sin. Slavery, I say slavery, is America's original sin, and that's coupled with racism. And it has to be acknowledged and repented of. Now, see, this is the thing that is very sketchy. Being that racism is at the core of the riots I'm going to make a statement. You're not going to like it. Racism is at the core of Christianity. I'm just going to see live for a minute because y'all probably cussing in them comments, but it is. If you look at what the white evangelicals are saying and how they are moving, you see something. And it shows up a little bit in the Nat Turner story. You see something. I mean, this is why it gets real scary for me and creepy for me when I see a white leader. Now, last Monday night, we praised the white leaders that spoke out. That's that. Now, let me say this. It gets really creepy and it gets really strange for me when I see a white person struggling with ownership. It's good to call me your friend. God loves everyone. We are all one. And we love each other. Racism is sin. You can even, for some black people or brown people, you can say that and you really win them all the way over. That don't work with me. I got to listen to what you're saying because I need to hear the ownership. I must hear the ownership to trust you. Are you hearing what I'm saying? And I know y'all probably mad in them comments, but I'm just going to say what I guess. I need to hear the ownership. I heard from all of my white associates and friends. Some were more detailed than others. I am grateful and thankful for each and every one of them that reached out and said, Larry, I just want you to know that I love you. I knew what they were saying. But they were struggling with some stuff, and I want to help the white LRLers. If you reached out to me and you struggle with it, I already done told you this, so I'm just going to say it again up here. And I want you black and brown people to take a card out of my book if it works for you. If it don't, then just pay me no attention. This is my point of view. I'm going to open up the lines. You can say whatever you want to say. But I don't like to see white people that don't take ownership. Want ownership of what? Of at least their privilege. I'm not saying take ownership of slavery. I'm not telling you to take ownership of all them hundreds of years. Because that was your fault that did that. That wasn't you that did that to me in most cases. That's not you. But I have to hear you take ownership of your white privilege. I need for you to say, I'm white. I know it. You can even be proud to be white like I'm proud to be black. But know that you are white and it gives you a privilege over me. Everywhere outside of the church. Because y'all know when it comes to the black church, we'll praise the white folk that can preach good. We'll praise the white folk that can sing good. But the black church is ours. That's our institution. So if they preach black and they sing black, oh, we love that. Some of us will even join your church and support your ministry by your product. But that's our church. Let's make that clear. We know it's ours. We smile at you. We love you. Now, some of us are just like, the slaves of the past. And they see that white skin as superior to them. And they really want to be white and try to talk white because white is right. It is mainstream. And we have to play the game in this capitalistic society to get the job. We got to get the education. We got to do, the white man put it in place, but capitalism is an entirely different beast. I think separate from white supremacy and white privilege. It works wonderful in that system because I think capitalism itself, it got a spirit in it. Although we ain't the only nation that's capitalistic. You got the UK, you got Germany, you got Japan, and all the different people who are capitalistic, different nations that are capitalistic. But I'm just saying, the black church is ours. But we'll praise the white people that sound black, shout black, talk in tongues black, and real black. But it is ours. Let's make that clear, put it out there like that. Okay. I heard somebody say, I just looked, my eyes fell and said, capitalism is racism. I don't know if I agree. I think capitalism and classism that's a whole separate show. Okay, so I don't forgot what I was saying. What was I saying, Nancy? You were talking about racism is in the middle, right? Oh, yeah. But when I look at Christianity and I listen to the white evangelicals say, we're all one, we all this Christian stuff. See. When I hear them say all this Christian religious stuff to like, sort of like, talk concerning racism, I don't want you to use religion to talk about racism, because religion was used to enforce the motive and the toxicity and the murderous killing spirit that depreciated brown and blacks. Religion was used for that. So my ears hearing a white person use spiritual Jesus talk to speak about racism, I can't trust that, because you used it before to tell me slaves, servants, obey your masters. No. You can't come up out that book and talk to me biblications like. Talk about racism, because you done did that before. I let you do that before. And somewhere, I'm Larry Reid, but slave number 12346 from the 1400s or the 1500s, the 1600s is in my blood, and don't trust that. Don't talk Jesus Christianity to talk about racism. I need for you to talk like a human. Humanity is the center of all spirituality. So I need for you to talk humanity to me. You can start off with these words. I know that I am white, and in this country, I am more important than you are. Now see that? Or what we heard in Patreon from one of the white panelists. They said, racism is something that white folks started and we got to fix. Woo! Ooh, if you ain't at Patreon, you take your hips over there. It's up. You can go back and watch it. It was so good. Oh. And this is the thing. A white person breaking down racism, a black person breaking down racism side by side, that's what we had on Patreon. Oh, it was an education. Oh, it was an education. Anyway. Riots, racism, religion. If you're not careful right about now and doing the work on your soul, two things you need to be doing. You really need to be doing the work on your soul, how you do it with prayer and meditation, to keep yourself sane enough to exist here in this crazy America right now with this pandemic and these protests. And then what's come, these pundits, these talking heads, what's the politicians and You need to be taking care of your spirit. And there's some things I want to offer here, because this is an entertainment show, and we commentate, talk about news and what's them. But there's some things because of advertisers. There's something that is called, there's a 24-hour prayer line that Bernard Jordan is doing. So you can go there. Any time of the day, they up there praying, either raising money. I think right now they're trying to pay off something, so that may be taking a lot of their time. But they're still going to be doing the Jesus talk. Then we're doing the prayer. 12 midnight is the midnight cry for prayer. So get up there at 12 o'clock. 515. You don't need to bring that. 515-604-9266. You can go up there, screenshot that. They got that up there. Then there is a wonderful spirit, soul, mind, creative coach that I know. Sherry Murray. Yes, you can. Now. Yes.
Creative believer with purpose. Hi, Sherry Murray, a 30-year professional in TV and film, emotional intelligence life coach. I want to reveal just how your character is called to adventure. But here is the plot twist. Your mental intelligence IQ may not be nearly as important as your emotional intelligence. No one really cares how smart you are if you cannot get along with people. But your emotions block you. You're unaware of how being creative fluctuates your mood. You allow your feelings to hijack your faith. You feel out of alignment with your purpose, which often leads to frustration, miscommunication, mistreating people, winding you up to feel like giving up. It doesn't have to be this way. Let Creative Soul Spiritual EQ be your guide to less frustration and empowered to persevere in your character's call to adventure. Visit CreativeSoulSpiritualEQ.com today.
CreativeSoulSpiritualEQ.com. So that's something else that you can go to begin to work on that spirit and that soul aspect. And this is a great time for that. We're still in the pandemic, pretty much still on the quarantine, although we really can't tell it by looking at these riots and everything that is going on. But it's important to do the work there. Give yourself the more prayer, more meditation. And let me tell you this. I've been saying this for I don't know how many years, but your prayer meditation life, your left life is just as important as your prayer and meditation life. Let me say it again. Your left life is just as important as your prayer and meditation life. And that's why a lot of people tune into LarryReidLive, because they want to laugh. They want to get away. They want to have a good time. They want to just talk about whatever we're talking about and just giggle and have a great time. And it's important. Your laugh life is just important as you tuning into whatever show you watch, for your prayer and your meditation life is just important. So Creative Soul Spiritual EQ. And at the same time, I think it's important for us to educate ourselves, because some of this stuff I'm talking about, some people may not even know what the Tuskegee thing happened almost 100 years ago. May not know about this Insurrection Act of 1807. You may not know about America's original sin and what that was. You can go into, I think it's bishopjordan.com, and you can it's free. This is 100% free. And download it and read it, America's Original Sin. And it really showcases there is a black network, where we thought was a black network, owned by a white man who drew blackface. And I announced and said it should be boycotted, and that began to happen. Bishop Jordan, along with Apostle W.J. Rideout, began to organize, and it went to the next level. And a lot of you have came off that. I still see a lot of black preachers that I'm calling plantation preachers. Actually, I call it the Plantation Network. I think Jordan called them plantation preachers, who are still up there. And some are saying, I know this man. He is not racist, da-da-da. Okay, fine, but he drew blackface. At that moment, we're not fooling up with him no more. In fact, if you still on the Word Network, don't you make post about George Floyd and racism and protest. You're a hypocrite. You strange and funny in the head. How one side of your brain see that and you can't see this? And he drew a blackface. You better wake up. This is why I told you, if that white person cannot admit and recognize their privilege and how that negatively affects you, and not commit to using the privilege to bring others up, you don't trust them. And maybe this that is happening with George Floyd is going to make some of you guys, when it comes to the Word Network stuff, like, you know what? I need to wake up. Maybe I've been in a white gaze, under a white spell. You better wake up. We have white allies, but we also have white enemies. Whew. I feel like I done preached. Let's open up these lines and see what everybody got to say about what I done talked about. Didn't I finish everything? That's all I'm going to do tonight. I didn't do what now? Oh, let me tell y'all this. Now, see, this is what's going to be nerve-wracking. The president, if you don't know, if you're just coming in, the president has put out, he's enacting the Insurrection Act of 1807. So that means he's employing all civil and military to get your hind part up in your house. Now, this has already started happening because some mayors and governors had called the National Guard in. And most of them, they're ex-military, retired, or, well, not retired. They used to be active, but now they just do the National Guard like twice out of the week, but they're still military people. Now, these folks are a little different. I'm going to show you this video. I can't remember the area this is in, but there's a curfew, that's in the written judgments as well. And the curfew said, get your whole hind in the house. Listen to me. This is what the curfew said. The curfew, aside from essential, I think, you don't have your hind part out there. You don't even have it on the porch. Now, these folk you'll see were on the porch. And this ain't no cop. This is a military. You can hear that authority out their throat come a different way. They're up in a different orders. Get your whole hind up in that house or you can have a problem. And they didn't move quick enough to start hitting them with some rubber bullets and some paint guns or something like that. But that thing will hurt. Listen to this now. Listen, let's watch.
No, there's more. Look at this. They just keep coming.
Go inside! Get inside! Get inside! Get inside! Get in your house now! Let's go! Light him up! Go inside now! Get in the house!
Get in, get in, get in, get in, get in, get in! Get in!
Oh, God, that hurt. You good?
Are you okay?
Right on the fucking crotch.
Are you okay? You got hit?
I'm good. They're fucked for that, dude. What?
Okay.
Get inside! Get inside! Get inside! All right, this is what Trump is saying because he's enacting this 1807 little thing. Get your whole hind up in the house when it's time for the curfew and don't play with it no darn more. I'm not fooling up with y'all like I did with the pandemic, the President Butane and saying, y'all out here that cutting up in the streets and you're messing up businesses and stuff like that. And then he said after they get order in these cities, then he's going to assist the businesses. Lord, they just printing up money, ain't they? Just print because we in debt. Because see, let me tell y'all this. America, although they were saying the stock market was up, because they judge our economy by the stock market as opposed to looking at the trillions of dollars we in debt. Listen to me, someone who used to make bring in hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, but was broke. Now on the outside looking in, it looked like, oh my God, he's doing so good, Churches doing well, the singers, musicians, and they got this nice little setup, and they got a church here, church there. He going here and there, he everywhere, looking good. Every time I see him and his wife, they look so good, like new money. I was married at the time, looking like new money. Actually, when I first thought I won't marry, actually was dating somebody else, but then I got married. So all that time I had some eye candy on my arm, and looking really good. It's just so wonderful, so wonderful, so wonderful. But I was one Sunday service from broke because it was Sunday morning where the money came in to pay the staff, the payroll, and everything. So it was one Sunday morning away from that. And I was 1 month of not hitting the road from being broke on a personal level. But long as I kept it going, everything looked wonderful. Oh, look at it. He got the Mercedes and big old Escalades. It's the newest kind of big old house, 7,000 square feet. And that's how America was looking before the pandemic. It looked good before the pandemic. It wasn't good. 80% of the wealth of America come from people spending their money in the stores. We were one blip from being tanked. And look, we were in trouble overnight when everything everything shut down, that was it. Lost all of the supposed gains that Trump had brought in through his presidency. Now, at the same time we're dealing with pandemic, we're dealing with racism, rioting. And now everybody, a lot of people got a question mark over their religion too. Because the pandemic and the climate that we're in, people are realizing, wait a minute, my faith component is really low, but my commitment to church and to my organization and to my pastor is really high. But I don't have nothing in my spirit that can travel me through pandemic, the rise of racism, rioting, and the loss of income. I don't have much in me. All right, open up the lines. We're going to have the conversation. Co-host, what you say? Co-host, I want to hear from you. We're going to dial up the line and hopefully this thing act right. So I can hear what you guys have to say about what we have discussed here on tonight. I would advise you not to leave. A lot of times the numbers drop when I crank up this here thing because y'all want to hear from nobody. But I'm telling you, the co-hosts have a lot to say. A whole lot to say. And so I want them to call in. The number is 646-787-8174. The 646-787-8174. Now, there is a blackout, because remember I talked about the economy. Now, there's a blackout that's supposed to be happening. I don't know who started it. I think it's the celebrities that started. Kendall, do you know? I don't know who started it. So July the 7th, which I don't really know how this is going to work, because they say July the 7th, we're not supposed to spend. Jesus loud. July the 7th, we're not supposed to spend any money at all in America.
Start your show now, press 1. To hear important instructions, press 2.
Your show is scheduled to start
That's a good sign.
24 seconds.
So I think we're going to be good. I don't know how this is going to work because yes, July 7th. Because if we don't buy July the 7th, ain't we just July the 6th going to buy everything?
Your show will go live in 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1.
Ain't July the 6th, we just going to buy everything that we normally would buy on the 7th. And just sit in the house on on the 7th. And they just notice, there was a surge on the 6th. That defeat the purpose. So I think what will fix it if we stop spending black money. Same thing I said about the Word Network. We stop spending black money with white establishments. I think that's what we should do. That's a better call. Let's say the whole month of July, we only spend our dollar at black-owned establishment. And let me go ahead and tell you, Popeyes is not black-owned. That black woman that's up there on that commercial all the time, they just use race baiting. They're using her Louisiana flair to get y'all chicken eaters up in there to eat. You know, so I think that will be a superb challenge. We can do something like that. There are question marks on all them calls. Something must have went wrong. Let's see. All right, let's take our first caller. Caller in 5084. What's your name? Where you calling from? You got 1 minute.
Hey there, caller from the DMV.
Okay.
So first I want to tell you that it's like chaotic out here right now. Trump just had the police officers literally attack peaceful protesters. When he was in a Rose Garden, and they knocked. It was really bad. Like they literally knocked all these people over, and they weren't doing anything. Also, I want to say that this narrative of you have to vote and you have to get out to the polls. Those things are important. I get that. But I'm a teacher. And if I told my third graders, you have to wait to the end of the school year for me to reward you for your work, they would look at me like I'm crazy. So you can't keep telling this generation, you got to wait 6 more months. You got to wait 4 more years till a new regime comes in. Are they supposed to walk around in fear for their life for 4 more years and 6 more months until voting starts? You have to change the narrative. This generation is not built that way. They are very used to what they want. They want it now. And in this case, they deserve what it is they're asking for, and that's dignity and decency for their life. So I understand when governors get up and say, don't riot and don't do all those things. That's fine. But you can't keep telling this young generation to sit down and basically be quiet until something changes. These are not the days of old, and no shade to anybody, but you have to give them something tangible. Give this generation something tangible right now that you can say, hey, we're moving forward. So that's just my take on the situation, and just keep the DMV in your prayers because it's pretty bad out here right now. An older gentleman actually got cornered, and he was shot with rubber bullets by multiple police officers.
Let me ask you this.
So just please.
Let me ask you this. I've been saying X, Y, and Z, but actually I meant Y and Z. So forget what I said earlier. What are you? You generation Y or Z? Y.
Is that why I'm 30? I'm 34. So whatever that is.
Okay, you're the millennials. That's Y. So yeah, generation Y. And you're right. That generation Y and Z are built differently. And she's right. They want it right now. And telling us, to vote. Is it this month or next month? June 10th or July 10th? One of these months, you got the primaries, and then you got June 9th, and then you have the November one. I think they should be saying that it's a good time to really push people. Look, vote to get who you want in that White House. But at the same time, it really needs to be pushing the narrative. Get who you want as a mayor and as a governor, because these are the people who really affect your life. 'Cause remember when all this stuff was going on, then the governors, some of them opened up the state and folk were still dying. And ladies and gentlemen, people are still dying. So y'all out there doing what y'all doing, put some masks on so you don't be dead. But yeah, we're going to keep you guys in prayer. Thank you so much for calling in.
Oh, Larry.
Yeah.
So last night, I don't know if you saw it, but last night they turned all the lights in the White House off. I don't know if you saw this, but if you notice, if you read through history, when they turn the lights off in the White House, that means the president is dead, which he's not. But I'm just saying, last night they turned everything off. It was pitch black.
Yeah, that's when they put them down there in the bunker.
Yes, yes. So definitely keep us up in prayer. But thank you, Larry. I appreciate it.
All right, no problem. All right, next caller. How can you say next caller? A caller ending in 1738. What's your name? Where you're calling from? Yeah, 1 minute.
Dr. Reid, Dr. Reid, Dr. Reid. This is Robbie from VA 2 Up and 2 Down. I'm very upset because my question would be this. Where are the black spiritual leaders? I have not heard anybody really major. Where is the T.D. Jakes? Where is the Charles Blakes? Where is the Paul Mortons, the Joseph Walkers, the Apostle James Clarks, the Bishop Theodore Brooks, and Lambert Gates, and Hezekiah? Where are all, even Bishop Michael Curry? I have yet to hear any major spiritual black leader, aside from Prophet Jordan, to say anything about what's going on. And now more than ever, we need to have some spiritual encouragement as well as natural encouragement as well. And it shocks me that a lot of them were prevalent during COVID-19, but are silent during these protests with George Floyd and Ahmaud Arbery. And I just want to say that I think that it's important that we need to hear from our spiritual leaders as well as our government leaders that there need to be some sort of order. Otherwise, it's going to continue to be chaos. And at the rate that we're going now, especially with the president pretty much going towards martial law, it's going to get worse before it's going to get better. I pray not, but that's just how I see it. And that's all the time I have. Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you,
Okay.
Larry.
Yeah, I pray not, but it looks that way. And just so you guys know, I don't expect everybody to know everything because this is my job, so I sort of have to keep my nose in what's going on. But Bishop Jakes definitely has spoke out. He spoke out pretty quickly concerning this, and actually has been on some other stations speaking out and some other platforms and social media. He was slow with the pandemic, and he explained why. He said because it was hurting so bad because people were dying, and he didn't know what to say, which I think was pretty transparent. But Jakes let's see, how can I put this? He is, I mean, of course, to some he's a prophet, and he is, but Jakes is his flow is a little different than the prophets. The prophets a lot of times are going to be in your face speaking thus if the Lord, probably ahead of the game or in the first of everybody. So I don't expect these preachers and these leaders to be what they are not. Maybe we need to pay attention to the fact that they haven't spoken out, or the frequency that they speak out, or how frequent they speak out, or not, or how quickly they did. Maybe it's for us to wake up and realize who's not leading us into the future. Maybe we're looking at a leader of yesterday, and it's time for us, versus expecting them to act like something they're not, just realize who they are and then choose new leaders. That's what I say to that. All right, let's call them. Caller ending in 1838. What's your name? Where you calling from? You got 1 minute.
What's up, Larry? I'm calling from New Orleans. This is EB.
What up?
I wanted to mention something from last night. I think live you did with the being under a white pastor.
Yes.
I'm no longer under a white pastor no more. I was doing that. I was in a multicultural church for about 10 years, and I fought to get them to speak out about things for the longest. And it didn't take until this past couple of days they finally started speaking out, and they refused to say Black Lives Matter. They refused to really speak on issues because they didn't want to be a church that spoke out. They just want to be a church of love and unity. And yeah, I'm no longer in that kind of stuff now. So I don't have a white pastor anymore.
All right. And I mean, now notice everybody, you can do whatever you want to do, but for the caller and for me, no white pastor. Thank you so very much. And that doesn't mean that white pastors are bad. That's not the case. It's definitely not that. Just for me, my parents are black. My first pastors were my mom and my dad. And I need to be able to look at this is me personally, this is just me, look at my leader and see me, my heritage, my culture, my roots, if that's me. And it doesn't make anybody wrong. It's just my personal preference. Just like some of you that are white or black prefer black or white people or the opposite ethnicity. Everybody has their preference. And for me, if I was a member of a church, well, I pretty much am a member of Zoe Ministries, really, because that's where my tithe go. But I want to see a black man for me. I want to see a black man. Yeah. All right, next caller. Is that highlighted? It don't look like it's open. No, it ain't. Okay, caller ending in 6075. What's your name? Where you calling from? You have 1 minute.
What's up, Larry? How you doing?
I'm doing all right.
This is Voyager from out of Brooklyn.
Oh, what's up?
And it's crazy. I just got a text. Me and my sister just got that text, that emergency text. Bang, bang. You know, you get that when someone gets kidnapped or whatever the case is. It's telling us that the citywide curfew is in effect now from 11 p.m. to 5 a.m. We just got that text a while ago on our phone, emergency text. But what I wanted to say is, with all that's going on and everything, I believe, and I think you kind of confirmed it tonight, and the Lord showed me it. We're going to have white allies, but it's not going to be a lot of them. So let me just say that right out the gate. It's not going to be a lot of them. Okay. But we're going to have white allies, those who really going to be awakened and like, okay, wow. Like you said, seeing their privilege and seeing the truth, like that awakening is going to come. So for me, I would say I believe every race of people, kingdom, nation, I believe they have a calling on their life. I believe they have an anointing. I believe they have their assignment to the kingdom of God, every race, every people. So for me, the white folk, right now as I see it, they have the power of privilege because of their skin. They have the economical. So for me, you know, someone like Carl Lentz or anybody, any other white person just saying, oh, that's so sad what happened, you know, to George Floyd and this and that. To me, you're just talking. And to you as a white person, as the white nation, as the white people, take your privilege, your finances, and back it up with physicality, if necessary, to help the oppressed, period. And the oppressed, in this case being the black folk, you're just talking. So until you use those three elements as a white person, you're just talking to me. That's what I think.
Thank you. And I would say one of those three elements, because every white person does not have money. This is me talking. He's finished. Every white person does not have. I know plenty of white people that I make more money than, but they still have a privilege that no matter how much money I make or education, there's certain things that I'll never be white, and so that is a privilege. So in some cases it is financial. But I'm talking about your white skin. I don't know if y'all understand that. I'm from the South. I was raised black as you can be. And I got that thing too, Voyager. Our curfew is 9. June the 1st and continues through sunrise tomorrow. June the 2nd, please stay home. Oh, shoot. And I had white friends. Some of them I still have now. And my parents, I'm going to say my parents, but it's really one parent more than the other's prejudice. I'm sure their parents were prejudiced and likely racist. It's almost like 2 generations back. So like if I'm 42, my parents are like 65, 66, but their parents like in the 80s. Now that group, you probably dealing with racist white people and black people who have that whole white fear and probably white gaze. And who probably respond to white people still like slaves and see them as the better and superior race. My parents, you got a lot of them who planted in us tried to plant in us the white fear, because my parents were the first ones to go to the white schools. They were jumped. Have you ever sat down and talked to your parents? You need to let them tell you your stories when they got beat up by a whole bunch of white people, or they come to school and nigger is written on their locker, or their food was taken or spit in. And my parents were the first ones to go into those schools. So they experienced that. And so they're not prejudiced just because they're so bad. It's their experience, you know. But I did not really embrace that. You know, my closest friends, my first girlfriend was white. Some of my closest friends were white. And I ask questions. I'm just like I sit right here. Well, why da? My daddy said, your daddy gonna kill me because I'm with you. If anything happened, it's gonna be my fault, and he gonna have to find me hanged. Why he say that? Your parents in KKK? That's how I was. You know, and a lot of the people in town, their parents were in KKK, and my daddy knew it, so he was scared. You know, so this ain't like It's America's original sin, slavery, racism, but it's not that far back as we can see. We still got people who are around here who still have that racism in their heart. If you look at that picture with that cop with his knee in his neck, I can't see nothing but racist and evil and murder. It's a sad thing. It's still here. Now, I do believe, now this is the upside. Now, I want to see policies change and everything, but the reality is, get us by good 20 more years, and we ain't going to have nothing to do with this because America going to be mostly brown, and everybody that got that stuff in them from way back then going to be dead and gone. And you have new people in these positions, all them be dead out 20 years. Y'all know Trump ain't got no 20 years. Look at his face. He about dead now. Sometimes he look like his funeral was the day before. Look at the people. You look at the Senate, Congress, and all them folk. Them folk is old as dirt. They look like, I said, why y'all look so tired? You ain't been working that many years. You can't be. Them folk not lasting long. God knows I wanted Bernie Sanders to be in this race running. But when I looked at him one day, I said, no. When he get in there, he trip, fall dead. Every bone broken in his body. This man is fragile. He's so old. I don't think a lot of this stuff going to be around too much longer. All right. Next caller. Caller ending in 7987. What's your name? Where you calling from? You got 1 minute.
Sammy calling from Florida. Hey, Larry, I just wanted to add, and first of all, I wanted to compliment you for at least mentioning Antifa. Mm-hmm. But I think it's extremely important, sir. I think you should dedicate a show to Antifa and George Soros.
Mm-hmm. I mentioned them.
Do the research. No, but as more to mention, sir, we shouldn't be in this situation. You showed the clip of the sister who was out there, mm-hmm. and the white Becky had her face covered, tearing up stuff, mm-hmm. right? We're getting blamed for it. Now we're in martial law. The president of the United States is in a bunker. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's not funny. It's crazy.
Yeah.
You're playing, black folk, hear me. You don't want none of this, and it's not us. So if you don't teach us, black people, about George Soros, who he is, what he's funding, who Antifa, what Anarch, these are terms we're not really familiar with.
Mm-hmm.
And Larry, I'm going to just add this in. I love you. You're funny. I get it. You just got a really kind heart. But doggone it, we should condemn. No Negro is that mad that you get to go steal out of a store. Fool. No, you're a thief. And thieves love confusion. Mm. And that's it. And this is not healing anything. They're crooks. You're stealing. So it would be like you saying, okay, you're mad. Now come and tear my studio up and take my microphone because I don't want Larry's mic. That's crazy. Mm-hmm. So those people aren't helping, but it's really, we were just played like a fiddle. That's why I want everybody black to hear it. They played us like an absolute fiddle. They're laughing at us because they're like, oh, go ahead. You're going to have peaceful, and then we're going to destroy you. Now we got martial law and rubber bullets. Mm-hmm. That's they're absolutely playing chess, and we're playing checkers.
I agree with that.
The one thing I was glad about Trump with his crazy self, I get it. I was glad. No, we didn't hear that. See, we get so whooped up sometime, we really don't hear. He said Antifa. He's got the attorney general. He's calling the terrorist group going across state. We as black people need to talk about that and quit talking about what happened in slavery with Shaka Zulu. I get it. We do that. We do that all the time. But right now, if we focus and make it clear to America, that's not us. That's y'all. That's part of y'all. That's not us. And we need to get out the streets and stop protesting right now. When it gets like that, you back up and let them figure out who in the world's really doing that. We keep running out there, it's not going to be good for us at the end of the day. And I'm going to make one more comment. You mentioned Bernie. I tell all black people, I said, listen, you want socialism? You might want to take a look at that and figure out how that works. Mm-hmm. You might want to hit the button and type that up because there won't be no LarryReidLive. If they start censoring everything, what YouTube's doing, You're not having this conversation because somebody decides they don't want this. We are going to end up, we think most of what we complain about right now, Larry, I get it. That was brutal and all that. True. But the truth of the matter is, you are able to do what you want to do. You get up, you work hard, put your money where you're at. I know people work, and I got cousins who've been working the system forever. Like the new welfare is really disability, right? So, there's people out here who are complaining. It's not everybody, but it's not really racism all the time. It is, but when it is, let's make sure that's what it is, because sometimes we just ain't doing what we're supposed to do, Larry. I'm honest. I'm talking about us as people. You're putting in the work, man. That's why you built the audience.
Mm-hmm.
But we can't just look at our cousins and them, and they lazy. And that's not a Republican, because it's just, no. Let's make sure when we say it's something, it really is something. Now, with George Floyd, that was something.
Yeah.
But now that's gotten stolen from us.
Yes.
And now we got the president. That's not good.
Yes.
Thank you, sir. And please do that show on him. Please consider, George, just keep it right on him.
On the Soros and Antifa.
Somebody else is doing it. Antifa. Man, it is a long history. He's a billionaire.
Yeah.
He's funding it. He wants anarchy, and we just played into their hands. That's why the sister was crying. She should be crying. We all should be crying. We got played like a fiddle, man. We got played. That takes me off to nowhere. Thank you, sir.
I'm about to put up a post. Continue to watch the show. Go to that post I put up the other day about this. I think it's called Anarchist. Let me see if I can read it. I can't read it up there. Let me see if I got it on my phone. I don't know if y'all remember this post. I alluded to some of this. Let's go. It says, I believe there are anarchists of all types and intentions attending these protests and turning them violent and destructive in every city. People from outside of our cities are manipulating our present emotions surrounding George and our disdain for our condition here in America for their own agenda. We are being incited and actually victimized by whites yet again. Wake up, millennials and Generation Z. Your innate bend against any establishment or authority, especially when it has antiquated processes, unfair practices, and manipulative and controlling, and is manipulative and controlling, is being exploited. And that's the word that I think I just heard him say. I believe in, and I said this before, and I said it in there, I think we have a war between, and I'm a commentator, you guys. That's how come I mentioned the Soros and the Antifa. I know about that, but I don't profess to be a expert on anything, but I do know about it, and because I do like to read. And that's really where this post came from on Saturday, I think it was. I do think there is a war between the extreme left and the extreme right. Did I mention that today? While I was running off my mouth? I think I did. And black people, we're in the middle of it. This is why I said earlier, there's a part of this that is forged. When I mentioned the pandemic, I mentioned the word plandemic, and I didn't make up that plandemic. I seen that somewhere. And there's chess being played. There absolutely is chess being played. There definitely is. All right, that's all I'm going to say about that. I want to get off to another conversation, but thank you so much, caller. Say it again now. What other post I made? Oh, the headless movement post. Bring it over. Did y'all see this post about the headless movement? Let me go ahead and read that before I take some more callers. Because I know some people, they just watch the show and they don't watch the post. It says, well, shoot, I ain't got it on my phone, so I can't tell you what it says. Oh, hold on, is that it? Yes, it says, there are protesters who are hitting the streets, making their voices heard as it relates to the injustices surrounding George Floyd and the countless other black bodies that's been killed by police and racism in America. And yes, there are also many others vandalizing, being violent, and looting who may or may not be about that cause at all. Yet, and still in the midst of all that craziness, I can see an unorganized uprising of all types of individuals that are awakening to who the divided states of America really is at the federal, state, and local level. I think those that are awakening will become the divine disruption to the inequality and injustice that institutionalism and classism embodies in the systems that run our world. Unlike movements of the past, I don't think there will be one leader of it. I feel that it will remain headless and infiltrate every system. One good thing about that is you won't be able to cut the head off and kill it. All right. Now, let me explain this. I think it's self-explanatory. Though it is, I feel it's headless and it's uprising, I don't feel like it's without leadership. I think you're really talking about influencers, leaders, people's voices raising up, stirring up a group, their assigned group, to really affect change, especially when it comes to these outdated, outmoded systems, the church included. I think that's what I'm doing here. I'm a leader of LRL. LRL, I think, is a movement. It's not just entertainment, but there's some things that we have done that's very movement-like. And I think there are other people like me, and we in that same vein, although we don't know each other. And they can be on the other side of the world. Though there may be multiple leaders, it's without a head, which I think that's what makes it powerful. Because throughout history, we see that whenever you cut the head off, you can immobilize, at least for a while, except that it grow another head. So, yeah, that's that. That's it. All right, next caller. Some people are texting me while I'm live on the show. I know you know I'm on this show on Monday night. Caller ending in 8948. What's your name? Where you calling from? You got 1 minute.
Hey, Larry, this is Ryan from Charlotte area, and a couple of your callers don't mess me up, and my brain is all over the place. But I just want to say that I went to the protest on Saturday here in Charlotte.
Okay.
Saturday night, and it was rather peaceful until the police force started getting aggressive, and that's one of the narratives that you see on the media, that some of these protests are rather peaceful. I mean, of course, you got the yelling and screaming, but that's a given. But it get to the point of looting and stuff like that when the police introduced the like the flashbangs and the tear gas and stuff like that. And, that's not kind of like cause for. But I also want to say that I went to a protest on Sunday, and, the protest was good. It was formed by a church group. But after the protest was over for the most part and everybody went their separate ways, I was like, you know what? This is typical of the church. We have good church, and then we go home, and like for some, or I can only speak for myself, that sometimes like we have good church, but after that there's like nothing real that comes after that.
I know what you mean.
And I just feel for myself, that's the problem. I mean, I just want to see like results now.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, because there's a cost to protest. There's a cost to any cause. Type that in. There's a cost, COST, to any cause. And what ends up happening is when it comes to the church, they want to monetize the cause without paying the cost. And with that being said, so you're going to feel like you're fluffed up for a while and then sent back home until it's time to come back and get high again and hype. 7 days of protest. There are 4,200 people that have been locked up. That's cost around a cause. And like I said, the church likes to monetize the cause. They like to monetize Jesus. He's like the product of the church that they sell. But they don't want to pay the cost that's tied to the cause. So once you graduate that consistent coming back and forth to a church of that type that's consistently getting you high and hijacking your thinking component for an hour or two and really emotionally and spiritually masturbating you, you finish coming all over the pews. You go back home and you're like, okay then. All right, well, I can't wait back to go back to play with me again, to fondle me, to make me feel good, you know. That's it. And when you graduate there after so long, but look, this is not working. I can smoke weed, lay up, get me a drink to do this. I want to be wrapped around a cause that, and I don't mind paying the cost as long as there is some movement. And see that the millennials, the Y and the Z, they love causes. Look at them out there. That's them out there. They love causes, and they don't mind paying the cost. 4,200 people out there, they do not mind that at all, as long as we moving towards a goal. So you probably don't need to go back to that church protest and go back out there in the streets and just wear your helmet or something, protect your darn self. Did you see any professional or anarchists out there?
Well, in Charlotte, there was really no. Well, let me.
Oh, you said you at the peaceful part.
Like
you at the peaceful part, so you ain't sit there. All right, thank you so much for calling in.
Thank you.
All right, next caller. Caller ending in 8301. What's your name? Where you calling from? Got 1 minute.
God bless you, Brother Larry. This is Evangelist Kumi from New York.
Hey there.
Let me turn this down. I just want to say that I'm a little saddened because this sounds like years ago when people said, we want a king, so God gave them Saul. Why is it that, and you know this, you've been a pastor for 20 years, why is it that we all call on God when the plane is going down, where we're in the plane? We call on God when our family members are diagnosed with something, or if someone is diagnosed with something. But for some reason, people tend to act like God is a punk and he can't see and he can't hear. Let me help you. God is not a punk, but our lifestyle, if we're going to be acting like our oppressor, there are certain things that God gave us so that to ensure that we have power, Holy Ghost power. Yes, I said it, Holy Ghost power. God is not a punk. He actually left us in charge, Dr. Larry. He left us in charge. But see, we became just like our oppressor. We began to fornicate. We began to masturbate. We began to commit adultery, and we lost our power. Everybody ain't hoes, and everybody ain't whoremongers. So until we get back to what Jehovah God said, we're in the last days, make no mistake about it. Until we obey him, this is what we're going to see. But I don't serve a punkish God. My God said, no weapon formed against me shall prosper. And that's what I live by. And every tongue that shall rise against me in judgment, God will condemn. So we cannot act like our oppressors. They didn't serve the God that we served. And this white privilege, please, there is no privilege in that word white privilege. It's not white privilege when you do satanic acts. That's not a privilege. That's satanic activity. And one more thing, relative to these police officers, we need to, while we're out there protesting, we need to put laws in place that when anybody says, I can't breathe, stop the brutal force that is being enforced upon them at that moment. And if they die as a result of that, the officer is automatically charged.
Yeah.
Okay? But I don't serve a punkish God. My God is Jehovah God, and he answers by fire. We're in the last days. God bless you.
Thanks so much for calling in, Evangelist. All right. Next caller. Caller ending in 3249. What's your name? Where you calling from? You have 1 minute.
Yes, my name is Nikki, and I'm calling from Virginia. I actually wrote my stuff down because I wanted to make sure I stayed in order.
Okay.
But this is to when you were talking about the conversation with white people, because I have a lot of friends of other ethnic groups, because I was actually raised, I graduated from a predominantly white high school. So I really do believe part of the problem is that some white people just really don't have a clue because they're sheltered. They're in their own little space. They really don't know. So one of the things that, so it was so good what you were saying earlier, and actually I said something that Van Jones actually ended up speaking about as well when he said there are some of our white friends and allies who are heartbroken in a way that even surprises them, because they hoped in some way perhaps we have been overstating our case and over-exaggerating racism. And that is true. And if we would just consider that and really think about it and put ourselves in the shoes, they're blinded. And
Come on.
One of the things me and my friend, one of the things me and my friend we have done is we actually Wednesday are hosting a Zoom meeting with a lot of friends from other ethnic groups, and it's a non-judgmental, and we really want to hear what they think about it, because sometimes they just don't know. They don't. This thing with George Floyd has really opened up a lot of people's eyes, because it was such blatant murder. Like you said, you could see it in his eyes. You could see it. It just looked like the head of Satan there. It was just really sad, and I think that it just really brought out white people like, I cannot even believe this is it. And I don't know if you follow Jane Elliott, but she's a white teacher who turned a civil activist. And she did the town hall with the white people where she said, would you want to be treated like black people get treated in this country? And no one stood up. And she said, so that tells me you recognize that there is a treatment. And you don't want to get treated that way. So why aren't you more vocal about the treatment of it if you wanted this in this country? And the last thing I'm going to say is to the caller earlier, because I've been holding this, that was saying that, I'm a millennial. We talk about the voting, and we are instant gratification generation and all of this stuff. Everybody's an instant gratification. Everybody wants stuff right now. But it's not just about voting. That alone is not going to do it. That's why often people caveat it with other things, or pair it with other things. And one of the things I try to tell my brothers and sisters, number one is, like even my own children, I always tell them, own something. It's not enough just that you want to be this career. Own it. Own your own practice. Own your own home. Because one thing we do not, when I was coming up, we didn't preach ownership. Own your house. You don't own anything. You have no power, in this country. So you have to own something. So that's one thing that we can do with this generation. And we also have to raise a generation with purpose, not just a generation that want to chase money, because we have to get our kids in these positions of influence, these positions of power, get them, I'm in a community where we didn't even know we had 7 people that were of African American on the council, because we think so much about the federal election. And like you said earlier, we don't focus on your local mayor, your local police chief, your sheriff. We don't focus on those
and
things.
your sheriff. It was the sheriff that fired those 4 officers. Your sheriff is so important, and we don't do that. We don't put our focus there.
We don't put our focus there. We just wait on November. We don't think about the primaries or your governor or your delegate, even your House of Representatives, your representative. We don't think about any of those things, but it's all about education, because we're not conditioned. We're not conditioned that way. You know what I mean? Just like what you were speaking about, circulating our black dollar back into our community. We are one of the few ethnic groups that don't come over here and do that. Like other people, even Africans really, but Indians, Asians, they shop in their own market.
Absolutely. Well, that's where they. You're right. That's what them nations have done. They have learned how. That's okay. What is it that we do that everybody needs? And they go into the community where they need it the most, and they get they get the dollar out of there. With the Asians, they come to our neighborhood and get the black dollar out of our neighborhood, but they spend their money in their community. Now, this is what we need to be doing. I'm going to let you go because you done talked too long, but you were good.
All right.
Now you got me talking. if I'm not mistaken, I think I want to get the right number. How long the black dollar stays in our community. Oh my God. I don't know where it's at. Let me see. I think I have it wrote down somewhere. Give me a minute. I think I have this. I thought I had it. I don't see it. But I thought I had it. But our dollar, our money doesn't stay in our community long. This is why it's so important. Every time this is one of the things I've been trying to teach my community, because a lot of black people that watch this. I think I read this show is like 79% black. Well, I actually thought it would be higher, but we got everybody to watch. And I said, every time you watch, I said, although you don't want to be a patron, I understand it's a little bit of money, but that little bit of money come out your account every month, depending on where your finances are, it can irritate you. And you do better just every time you watch just to patronize. And so that's what I say, especially when I'm doing topics like this to where they don't allow my monetization all the time, hit that Venmo, hit that CashApp, and support black business. And we need to get in the habit of supporting black business, because a lot of times what we like doing with our money does not circulate the dollar in our community at all, except for church. That's it. That's except for church. Everywhere we like to eat in our favorite places, that dollar don't stay in our community. And that is something that we need to do. And that's a great way to protest. A wonderful way to protest. I'm going to brainstorm this, but it's a great way to protest if we begin to spend our money in our community. And you see how that can change the narrative, because then we can't say, oh, they're doing this to us. I mean, we still can when it comes to some other stuff, but that we can begin to take ownership. And that could really cause our government to look at us and deal with us differently, because they're really sort of using us still. 80% of this economy is consumerism, and we are the consumers, although we make a low percentage of the money. So that is one great way to change everything. Aside from our churches, we need to start putting our money into our community. And I got some of my white friends, they've had to work hard like I had to work hard. But the reality is, a lot of them can call their parents who own property, who own land and everything, and can help them if they need to, or a business that they can be, probably their first job at their parents' company. That is not our reality. It happens now more than ever. But that's been a thing in the white community in America for years. I remember when I was a little boy coming up, that's how it was. Maybe our folk were cleaning your house still. That's where I come from. And I was working in the fields like a slave to get my clothes for school. In the cucumber chopping field, tobacco, potato field. I think he got to use the bathroom. He didn't eat at 7? Oh, now that's a shame. He didn't eat on time. Okay. Well, I'm going to let you guys go. Thank you so much for calling into the show and watching the show. Please click like and share before you get off. All of you, we really need for you guys to hit like and to hit share before you get off of here. We need you to do it. All right. Tell somebody about the show. And this week I'm gonna pop up again. I'm gonna probably stay another few days on this topic. Then I'm gonna go back to whatever is next and the trending topics of what's happening in our world. Stevie J done got well, I'll tell y'all later. It's been on my thing, but I want to talk about some of this stuff that's happening. All right. I'll see y'all later. Take care. What's that? Yeah. Goodbye.
Stay connected to Larry Reid Live. Take a moment and like the Facebook page. Subscribe to the YouTube page and hit the bell. Text Larry Reid Live to 33222. That's the words Larry Reid Live with no spaces to 33222 and get notified when we go live. Become a member of the Patreon. Log on to LarryReidLive.com, click Patreon, sign up, download the Patreon app, and turn on your notifications. Get connected today.